Hello, and welcome to Rome Howell, a podcast with inspiring talk and stories about exceptionally talented people. I'm Jennifer Gardner, your host. Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 8 of the Rome Howell podcast. This is my first official solo episode, and I am going to use it as an opportunity to talk about the topic of authenticity. For many years now, my primary work has been in the legal profession. Now, the legal profession is still fairly conventional and conservative, although I think it's starting to change. But while working as a lawyer, I have felt most of the time that my private life had to be very, very private, like I couldn't show up completely as who I was to work. I always felt some shame around the duality between my quote-unquote creative side and my quote-unquote professional side. When I was a young lawyer, a partner in the firm I worked at once lectured me about how if I did not work 12 hours a day, I would never amount to anything. I quickly realized that I could not have a life and survive in a law firm owned by someone else. I also thought at that young age that I could not be an effective lawyer if I was not well-rounded and if I did not have any real-world experience. This is a primary reason why I started my own law firm. I wanted to do good work to help people for a reasonable fee and have time to have a life where I could pursue all of my interests. Then, a few years ago, I went to the Trial Lawyers College, and over time, I healed a lot of that part of myself. First, I discovered that my emotional and creative way of approaching my cases was not so unusual after all. It was very healing to be amongst a group of supportive lawyers who were striving to discover and authentically express themselves. And the Trial Lawyers College was extremely confirming in my belief that a huge part of being a lawyer is extremely creative. A year or so ago, I also decided to study acting so that I could further develop the ability to connect emotionally with myself when I argue my clients' cases. In class, I learned so many things. One of them was how many people suppress their true selves. They suppress a basic longing they feel to express themselves creatively in order to please their families and live up to this expectation that they think the world has of them. So many people are living dishonestly and in pain because they're longing to do or be something that they have been programmed to think they cannot or should not be. Believe it or not, I actually learned or realized for the first time this concept that being polite is not honest. I'm often polite, and that often covers up my true feelings, and that does not always serve me or make me happy. I've started to have this conversation about the challenge of living authentically with my friends. It is something that we all want to do, and everyone agrees it is also so difficult to do. There's a lot of discussion these days about the value of authenticity and vulnerability, but saying that you want to be that and actually living that way are very different things. It's easier said than done, and for me at least, it's an ongoing effort. Maybe for some people it's easy, but I suspect that for the majority of us, it is not. So in my quest to be more authentic, to peel back the layers, to get to the kernels of truth, I'm going to discuss my journey and quest to be more authentic through this podcast project and some solo shows, starting with this one and with some other people that I interview. I have challenged myself to discuss this journey as openly as I can. And when I say it's a challenge, I'm not kidding. This is really not easy. But somehow I feel that I will connect with who I'm supposed to connect with and that it will lead me where I'm supposed to go if I do this. And I suspect that this may also inspire others to do the same thing. And this is not such a bad thing. I truly think that if we share our true selves with each other, we will discover that we are more similar than we are different. This podcast is a real ride. It's only a couple months old, and I never did anything big to actually launch it. Somehow, magically, people are finding it. Already more than 1,000 people all over the world have found it and are listening. Even though that's a small number in the podcast world, to me it's a big deal. And I have to say, this is so incredibly gratifying. some of these people are even emailing me and suggesting topics they would like me to talk about, which is awesome because that means they're really listening because I've asked them to do that. So I'm going to ask you again to please continue to join me on this journey, and I will be speaking to you again very soon. That's it for this episode of Rome Howell. I'm Jennifer Gardner, podcasting from Los Angeles, California. Feel free to leave me comments and suggestions for stories you would like to hear, people you would like me to talk to, questions you would like me to ask. You'll find me at Rome Howell on Facebook and at Jen B. Gardner on Twitter and at romehowell.com, where you can email me and sign up to hear the podcast every week. I'm really grateful to be able to talk to you, and I really thank you for listening. Take care.